Recording has begun.
Recording has begun. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Shahzad Hussain and I live at 20 Primary Way in Undercliff. And today it's been 216 days that my brother Talib has been kidnapped from my care by the local authority, Bradford Council, in collaboration with West Yorkshire Police and the Bradford Courts and Tribunal Services and the judiciary. However, they have not played much of a part in my brother's abduction. They have been the justification for his abduction, because I was looking to raise fraud and corruption in the courts and highlight this. And as soon as I said I was going to do this, they instructed the police and the council to come down and abduct my brother. It's been 216 days and I've been leaving messages every single day. I think with the exception of one day, I think a couple of days ago, where I didn't put a message out. But every single day I'm leaving a message out, creating a daily vlog of all the harm and anguish and psychological torture I'm being subjected to at the hands of the local authority, who continue to ignore me and isolate me, and whilst at the same time are perpetuating villainous court actions and orders against me, so I can be further disenfranchised and alienated and degraded and humiliated in this manner, while they continue to put me into further debt and servitude and bondage, whilst they continue to maintain the public persona of civility and the emblem of benevolence, when the reality is that they are cruel, vindictive, and persecuting me and having a personal vendetta against me because I look to expose their failures in adult social care. Well, they can spend their time, money, and resources looking to shut me up. It does not change the fact there's a failure in adult social care, does it? They would be better investors spending the time and money into fixing the problem that they've got rather than covering it up. Covering it up does not alleviate the problem. If you've got a leaking roof, trying to close everybody else's eyes to this, it's an exercise in futility. Why don't you just fix the roof? They should just fix the adult social care issue, but they're saying that it can't be fixed. It's a socio-economic issue. It's a fundamental part of Western society, which is a flaw in the Western liberal system, is that you get everybody to be liberal, and that's particularly women, and say you got rights as women, and you could be working and driving, and you are equal, and all this other spiel that they give us to the feminists. But then ultimately, if the women leave the house, leave the kitchen, as they say, to go to work, well, who looks after the children? Or you can put them into childcare. Well, childcare costs money, and it's not sustainable. Well, what about the elderly, though? Should parents or women who give birth to children have a moral obligation or a biological imperative to look after the child? They don't have a biological imperative to look after the elderly. And this is what's happened here. I know in my particular circumstances, the women in my family, namely my sisters, who should be looking after their parents, are not doing so. Well, actually, how it works in the Asian system is that Asian Pakistani system is that the husband's wife looks after the husband's parents, because the husband's wife leaves her own household. But irrespective of leaving her own household, I mean, in my particular circumstances, my three sisters that I have are not looking after their own parents, and then going to the next house, marrying, and choosing not to look after the husband's parents. So it's just basically there's a care deficit, and that care deficit cannot be plugged by the government in any way. Like putting people in their care home is not sustainable. This is a big problem, because if you look at children from the ages of being born 0 to 18 are on a spectrum of getting eventually more independent to where at 18 they can be independent and live on their own. That's only 18 years, whereas the converse is true for the elderly. When you start looking after somebody in the 70s, they could live up to their 90s, 20 years or more, and they are becoming more and more debilitated and more dependent on you. And so therefore the costs keep on increases, and plus as people get older they develop more illnesses and diseases and problems, you see. So this is one of the problems. The root cause of the problem here is that elderly care is not something that the Western system can do at all, especially with the elderly and disabled care. And so what adult care, And those are the issues that I'm trying to highlight, is that there's a clear failure in adult social care. And what the local authority want to do is that they know of the problem, they just don't want me to go on about it. And while they peddle their lies and deception, and trying to convince the working population that, hey man, you continue working and paying your taxes and paying extra money for the elderly, so we're going to take care of them, and they don't take care of them. They abuse them, neglect them, exploit them, and eventually murder them and cover everything up. And that's what's happening, and that's fundamentally the problem here that I'm facing. And this, for one of these reasons, that I'm being hounded and persecuted for this very reason. Now, the local authority, Bradford Council, have kidnapped my brother and are not letting me see him for the last 216 days as a form of collective punishment. Today was the first. Tomorrow is the first Rosa. Today I was fasting anyway. But the month of Ramadan has started, and I'm not going to spend this with my brother. I've not spent Christmas with my brother. I've not spent his birthday in September with him, because they abducted him in August. And this is the exact same scenario that happened in my mother's case. They kidnapped my brother for the last 334 days of her life, and then eventually forced a vaccination injection upon her and killed her off within days. So this is just a repetitive process, and it's very tiresome and it's very grueling. And what they're doing is giving me slow poison to debilitate me slowly, putting a noose around my neck, closing in all my options, and taking the time, because they're taking great pleasure in taking the time in the human suffering that they're inflicting and causing. And there's nothing I can do about it, because ultimately, who do you go to? The police are involved, the council's involved, there is no authority. All the governments, I believe, involved as well now, because the judiciary and the judges, who are meant to be independent, are equally being, having the services commissioned out. So here we are, and 216 days later, don't even know if my brother's alive or dead. They won't let me see him because of collective punishment. And this is all against the laws. They have no legal framework in place. All they do is perpetually lie and deceive. And the judges and the court saying, well, we only deal with lies and deception. We don't care about the truth and justice. This is just a facade. That spiel that we feed the people to convince them to continue working and ignoring the situation and pretend there's nothing to see here. When the reality is that they are peddling lies and deception and corruption at the heart of government, at the heart of the local government and the local authorities, all targeting and victimizing. I've got no choice but to make these videos about myself, and because obviously I live in fear of my own life, because there's nothing that these people will not do to cover up their fraud and deception, because there's so much money involved, and there's so much that's happened in the past. If it ever becomes public knowledge that they've been committing mass democide or killing numerous people, deliberately murdering them, that just causes them an existential crisis, because nobody wants to then be involved with them. And here we are, yes, 216 days later, I'm probably never going to get to see my brother again, and now I'm facing the real prospect of becoming homeless within a couple of weeks, because the local authority insists on doing it their way, which is obviously in their own best interest, and to me and my family's detriment. I think we should just leave it there. Not suicidal, won't kill myself, and any harm comes to me is as a direct result of Bradford Council. Allah Hafiz.